I wanted to show you this while it was my lights were off because look how pretty those look.
Cute.
Yeah. So we're going to be making a couple of, I don't know what kind of lights you have, but these I had to grab out of my Christmas stash. So,
Yeah.
but I think it'd be fun to get some battery operated ones, which I'm going to order. And once I order them, then I'm going to put them in my background because I think that'd be fun. So now the lights are on so I can show you the model, the two models that we're going to do. There's actually three that we could do if we have time, but for sure two, and then we'll go from there. So what we're going to first do is the balloon. It's like the very classic balloon, it's called a water balloon. I guess if you filled it with water, it would turn into a water balloon. But it makes a really wonderful light cover. And I've actually had three models that I really like that make wonderful light covers is because they have a little hole at the bottom. So the crane, the traditional crane, the tulip, and the balloon. And if you just sort of mix them up on your string of lights, they're just gorgeous. And you can do this during the holidays. You can do it just to cheer you up. I'm going to put them in my bathroom because I have a little plug-in in my bathroom, and I just think it'd be fun to just have some fun little lights in there. There are also waterproof papers that you could use, or you can just cut some gift wrap or something and make your own patterns. So let's start with the balloon, and we're going to take our paper and we're going to have the pattern or color side down, and you're going to fold it in a point to point and open it up and fold it in the opposite direction, point to point. And I love these little dancing kitties, and one of them is a picture of my cat, the little black and white one. So it's really fun to have this, that it's here, and it's exciting. So now I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to have the pattern side facing up. And I want to fold it in half in the opposite direction. Just fold it in half. And then open it up, turn it, and fold it in half again. So we have, this will be called the water bomb base. It's a very common base. It is achieved different ways, but I just like to do it this way. Just because I've learned to do it this way, but there are other ways. So I just took the inside and I reversed the fold so that it became a mountain. And now what I have is a base where I have these long folds are mountains, and the little short folds are valleys, and that will collapse into a water bomb base, it's called. So that's how you get to that. So the next step is to take the flaps, take the left flap, top flap only, fold it up to that center crease. And we're going to take the right flap, fold it up to the center crease. And we're going to turn the whole thing over. And we're going to repeat on the opposite side, folding the left flap up to just fold it up, and you'll use that crease to meet. And same thing, fold this up. And now we have this is how it should look. So the next step is to take the top flap. I'm going to take the left side, and I'm just folding it to the center. And I'm not going to overlap it. I just want it to meet. And I want to make sure that's lined up. And if you have a bone folder, this is going to be a time to have one because might be a need for it in a minute. But I like to make my creases really sharp here, so that just to make it easier. I'm going to fold this flap here to meet this last one I just folded. I'm just going to make that crease really sharp. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So I'm turning it over. And I'm going to fold that left flap just to meet that those center folds. And sharp crease, and do the same on the other side. And I'm noticing, there we go. Yeah, see, I have mine, and you want it to match what's underneath. So line up whatever you have underneath. You just kind of want everything sort of lined up, however you get there. Sometimes you need to readjust just to get everything, the horizontals to be lined up. So now the next step is we've got these little flaps here. And I want to take this little flap. You can see this little flap here. I'm going to take this little corner and I'm going to fold it. I'm just folding it straight down. And I'm just lining it up straight down. In fact, it lines up with the little kitty. That's funny. So you can see I've just lined it up. I don't know if you can see that. I hope it's not too much pattern here for you to not see it. This little flap gets folded down, and let's do this on both sides. Just those little corners we're going to fold those down. Make a nice sharp crease. So what you have is these two flaps. They're folded just right, and they meet right here. So you've got this happening. Now we're going to take this whole thing and we're just going to fold it over. We want to make a pre-crease here. I'm folding that flap all the way over and I'm just creasing that on both sides. I want to fold these flaps over. And I'm going to give that a really nice sharp crease because what I need to do now is to open this, there's a little pocket here and I'm going to show you what these little pockets are. Got a little pocket here. You can see I've got my little bone folder. I put this flap needs to go into that pocket. And we're going to do this. And if you just take it and just gently guide it into the pocket and then just fold and tuck it in. So that's how we do that. So let's try it again on this side. I'm opening the flap that I just folded. I'm going to find this pocket. And everything is kind of nice. There we go. So I've got a little pocket. I'm going to take this flap. I'm just folding it and tucking it in. And however you get that in, and then what you have is you've kind of secured that. We're going to do the same on the other side. So we're going to take our little flaps. You see these little free flaps here. We're going to fold them down. Just fold them to meet this part here, this edge. We're going to fold the other side to do the same thing on the other side. And then what you do is you take that fold and just fold it over as far as it can. Take that. That's a couple of layers of paper, so it feels a little bit thicker. Do the opposite side. And then what you want to do is open it up and find this little pocket and then take your folded flap and just slide it on in. And mine now is being a little fussy. Now this happens. Sometimes it's hard to get that in. So you just want to get it in and then slide it. Use your bone folder if you need to get it to slide in, and that secures and locks this area here. And the same with this one. I'm going to open it up, open this little pocket, and just kind of bending it enough so that I can get it open. And now I'm just going to tuck that flap in. So now we're ready to make this happen. Now, sometimes what I like to do, and it depends on the paper, but if I want a real cube-like shape, what I would do is I would fold these little corners down right at this area where you can see where this intersection here is. So I'm going to just do that, and I'll show you why. It makes for a nice clean, a very nice clean cube-like light cover. So I'm just folding it in both directions so it remembers where I folded it. And then I'm going to keep it unfolded. I'm going to do the same on this side. I'm just folding these two down and give it a nice crease. And then I'm going to just fold it in the other direction so it remembers. And it's pretty thick. You'll feel it. That's okay. Okay, so now I've done that. Now the next thing you do, and you won't see me do it because I can't get my head down there, but what I do is I open up the model so that I've kind of got it opened up, and you can even gently, without tearing, because you don't want to tear, there's a little opening right here. You don't want to tear that, but where the opening is, that's where you're going to blow some air into that, or you can get it started sometimes just by pushing down on this side here. Like if I just kind of open it up, start the process without, I don't want to tear anything, but I'm kind of opening this up and doing that. And then when I go in and I'm going to put my lips together and I'll make a quick puff. Now, there we go. So I opened it up, and now because I pre-creased these little edges, it made for a nicer cube. Now, sometimes your papers will want to still wrinkle and stuff. I use a knitting needle. I just go inside and I take my little knitting needle without puncturing through. I just kind of clean up those edges, or just get those edges expanded. However you do it, you can do it any way you want. Whoops. So I just made we've made a little balloon or a cube. And what's great about this is you can just put it on your light. And of course you want LED lights, nothing hot, of course. These are LEDs, they're cool to the touch. And I'm just going to put that on, and now I have a little light cover. It's gonna look much better, of course, when I turn the lights out. So the next one we're gonna do is the tulip. And the tulip is really fun. I'm just gonna use this really pretty paper. It's it's called Harmony paper. And the tulip, we start exactly the same way we started the balloon. So what we're going to do is fold a point-to-point triangle. We open it up, turn it, and fold it in the other direction. Open it up, turn the paper over so that the color side is facing you, and you have mountain folds. And now you're going to fold it in half in both directions. And open it and turn it, fold it in half in the other direction. Now what I do is I open it up, and I have all this is a valley right here. You can see that's a valley. I'm going to take my finger and I'm just going to pop it up until it's a mountain. And that's how I make the watermelon base. So now collapse everything. No new creases, just collapse everything. And let's fold these flaps like we did with the balloon. We're going to fold the first flap up to the top. Just line it up. And the second flap gets folded to match or to meet the first. And we're going to turn it over and do the same thing on this side. Fold the flap up to meet, just fold it in half basically. Folding it in half, if you look, you're folding it in half here up at an angle. Or not at an angle, it's actually this line here lines up with this. So that's just to make more sense of it. All right, and then same thing, we're gonna fold crease right here, and we're gonna just fold it up to the top. Now, with the balloon, we started to fold these little sides in. But with the tulip, what you want to do is you're going to take this flap. I'm just taking the first flap, and I'm going to just turn it like a book page until I see a solid side. I'm turning the whole thing over, just turn it over. And I'm going to take this flap that has the open edge, and I'm going to just turn it so that it's solid. So what I have now is I have a base with a solid sides. I want my closed end to be facing me, and the open end with all the little points that you could see where the points are, those should be facing away from you. So you will want, like the open end, I guess what I could say, what makes sense, is this open end needs to be away, facing away. That little open end. This is the closed end. So now what you want to do is take this open end. You're going to take it's going to be folded, but you're not going to fold it right to the center. You're going to fold it slightly over that center. So about maybe a little over 1/4 of an inch. But you want to make that point right at the top. You want to keep it at the point at the top, and you're just folding this edge just about 1/4 of an inch over the center. And we're going to do the same on this side. I'm just going to fold it so that it overlaps somewhat. You can see how that overlaps. And I'm going to just go ahead and crease that. And I'm going to do the same on the other side. So now I have the bottom side is my guide now. I can just fold that to line up with the guide, with the underneath layer. And I'm going to take the right side and do the same. Fold it to line up with the layer, that first layer. So now we've got this. So what you're going to do is you'll see there's a pocket, and you need to tuck one of these corners into a pocket. So whichever pocket you want, it doesn't matter actually. So I'm going to tuck, now I've got this pocket open. I'm going to just take this little flap and I'm going to tuck it inside that pocket and just slide it in. And if it doesn't want to slide, you just might need to use your bone folder to give it a little nudge, just coax it along and get it so that that locks and secures this paper here. We're going to do the same on this side. We want to open this up, find out which one you want to make into a pocket. Like I said, it doesn't matter which side. And then just take your end and just slide it in until it locks. Nice and secure. And this one wants to do its own thing, but I'm just going to make it work. I'm just going to use my folder to make that happen. So what we have now is kind of a box. It's a variation of kind of what we made, but now we have this pointed end, and we need to open up. Basically, this needs to be opened up. So what I usually do is I kind of take my fingers and I gently kind of open things up a little bit so that I have a little, I'm just starting to open it. Another thing that you can do, if you take your fingers and just kind of open all these little areas, this is the part that needs to be blown into and flattened. Sometimes it helps just to kind of start it by pressing down a little bit. And of course I wrinkled it, but it kind of helps it a little bit to press it down. But you can see now there's an area where I can blow into it, that open end. So now you take a nice deep breath and blow. And what it does is it expands. It should expand it. If it doesn't all the way expand, try blowing again. There we go, I got it. And sometimes just taking it, tapping it on the table also helps to expand it a little bit. And then you take the little petals, and my favorite part of this is to take those little petals and just gently roll them down as far as you want. Kind of peel them like a banana. You're just taking these little petals, these little areas here to create your petals. And you can kind of curve them as you're going down the shape to make that flower. And you can keep them as open, or you can make them more open or less open, just however, whatever works for you, whatever you like to do. But there is the tulip. And the beauty about the tulip now is it has an opening here at the bottom. And now I'm going to just add it to my light string. And there we go. We've got it. We've got the tulip. The same thing if we do the crane, we could do and I think we do have time. The same thing goes for a crane. And if we haven't done a crane in a while, might as well do a crane. So we've got tulips and balloons. I think those are pretty. The crane is similar, but it has a smaller box for light. And I'm going to turn off my lights so I want you to see this again. I'm going to turn off my lights just for a second so you can see the beautiful lights. There we go. Lit up. I just love them. I think they're pretty. But let's try doing a crane next. So I'm going to use, this time I'm going to use those little fun watercolor dots. I think I might use the blue. It has a pink on the inside. So we're going to do a crane, and I think you may have done this before, so this is good. It's always good to just kind of refresh the crane. It's the most popular, most amazing fold. So, and it looks beautiful on these lights. So I'm just going to start. We're going to make a basic base, a crane base. We're going to start with our color side down, our pattern side down, and fold it in half. Open up and fold it in half in the other direction. Now turn it over so that your mountains are facing you, and let's fold it in diagonal, point to point, in both directions. We open it up and we fold it in the opposite direction. Now, do what we do. I put my finger right in the middle of this and I push it up so that it becomes, I've got the mountain folds are now the short folds and the valleys are the long elongated diagonal folds. And now what I'm doing is I'm going to collapse it into a square base. And I have open end and a closed end. The open end stays with me, faces me. The closed end is away from me. And now we'll start the crane making the wings. So what I'm going to do on the open end, this is where a lot of people get confused. They'll start the folding on the closed end. You want to make this edge. This has got to be the open edge. You can see that. I'm going to take that open edge and I'm going to fold it right to this center crease, making right at an angle so that that edge meets that center diagonal crease. And the same thing, the top flap only, I'm going to fold it to meet that not diagonal, what do we call vertical crease. All right. So now we've got those two sides done. Let's turn it over and do the same on the opposite side. And really try to make it match what's underneath, if you can do that. Now I'm noticing it's not matching. Why, I don't know. But it should be fine. So now I'm going to take right where this, you can see where these little top edges are here. I'm going to just fold this back, this top triangle back and forth in many times. This is actually the most helpful thing when it comes to making a crane, is to have that fold back and forth so that it remembers, and it kind of breaks down the paper so that fiber, so that it will remember your crease. So we're going to do that just several times. So now what you do is you lay it down and you open it up just one layer only, and you're going to see you want to open up to one layer, kind of like it looks like I'm opening a bird's mouth. And I'm going to use that crease that I just made as my pivot point, and I'm not making any new creases, I'm just going to elongate this, and just using the existing creases. Some will be reversed, but I'll just elongate this, creating no new creases, just reversing a couple of them, and I'm elongating that and just flattening it. And this is going to be the wings and the beaks, actually. The wing and the tail, no, these are the wings. Oh, I don't know what they are, but anyway, they're part of the crane. So we've got this now. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. Going to take it, open it up, and you're going to use that crease that you had made, that pivot, just fold it backwards and make that long, and then just reverse these folds. These little guys, these little folds just have to be reversed, and then you can flatten it. So that's the hardest part of the crane. Usually it's the most challenging, at least seeing in the days when I didn't have video. We didn't have video. We had to learn from somebody, or we have to look at a diagram, and diagrams were so hard to follow, especially with 2 dimensions. So now we've got this, and now we have an open end and a closed end. So the open end is what we want to work on next. So I'm going to take on this where the open end is, or these looks like little legs. I'm going to just take the top flap only, and I'm going to fold it towards, I'm not going to have it meet the center. I want to kind of get it close, but I want to leave a little bit of space. I'd say maybe a 1/16 of an inch or something, but a little space between here and there. And it does help. I'm going to take the other one, opposite one, and fold it over, but not to touch that, but just close, giving a little space. So you can see there's a little space here between this vertical space here. I'm just doing about a 1/16 of an inch. So I'm going to do the same on the other side. I'm going to fold that right over, not touching that vertical area, but close. And I'm going to do the same on that side. Now we're about ready to do the fun part. So now we're taking these points and we're going to fold them up and at an angle, or it depends on your preference, but I kind of do a little bit of an angle. And actually I do an angle that pretty much lines up. It's close to lining up with this angle here. And I'm just going to fold it as far as it'll go. It won't go just as far as it wants to go. And now what I'm going to do is hold everything in my right hand, pinching between my thumb and forefingers, and then I'm going to work only on the left side right now. So I've got everything nice and secure in my right fingers. This part, I'm going to open it up. I'm just going to drop this. I'm opening it up. And what I need to do is I need to reverse this, and I'm going to pull this piece up and reverse it. And basically, I'm reverse folding it and tucking it. Inside reverse fold, we call that. And now I've got to straighten this out, but it wants to do its own thing. But try to get that as straightened out as you can. If not, that becomes a beak. So that's fine. I'm just going to leave that, let that be. I'm going to do the same thing on the left side. I've got everything, or on this side here, I'm going to hold everything in my left hand, pinch it, and then I'm going to open this up and reverse fold, inside reverse fold this piece. Now this one went perfectly straight, which is gorgeous. It went really nice. So that side is going to be my beak, because it needs to just be folded down, and I'll pinch inside and reverse. And that kind of creates that beak shape for the crane, like that. Just kind of pinch it and reverse fold. There we go. So everything is kind of, you can see it's folded here, and then there's a little pinch fold, inside reverse fold as well on that. So the next step is to open it up, and you'll notice if you take your fingers and just open it, like just by gently pulling, it will open up this little box here, this little area. And right here is where you would stick your light. You would put your light. So let's see. You can do this with little tea lights too, those little tea lights. So this one, I'm just going to kind of open it up a little bit. And if you need to, you can even take a pencil. You don't want anything too sharp, but you can open that up a little bit more if you need to, using maybe a pen tip or something to get that open. And then you just do the same thing. You put that. Well, I'm going to need to open it up a little bit more. Maybe with, let's see, I've got to find a pen or something. So maybe this little pen will help opening up. But see, you've got a little different area. It's not as big of an area for the light to go in. So sometimes those regular Christmas lights, like the ones I have, might be a little too long for it. But I'm just kind of creating a larger hole for the crane so I can get that light inside. This is just an option. I think it'd be better to use these with those little smaller mini lights. These are the standard Christmas lights, but I think those little cute little mini lights would even be better for the crane. But you'll see you can do the same thing with the crane. You can actually put that crane on and it becomes a light cover as well. So that is our, here we go, and I'll turn off the lights and you can see